Hi, Cancer. Welcome to your April 2020 Astrology 33 reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, just check out the description of the video for more details there. And as for what we have in front of us, we have a Celtic Cross spread as always, and then we also have a couple of Oracle cards we'll take a look at once we get through the main spread, and also a mudra card. So, getting started with the main spread. Main situation, we have the Hermit, which is the major arcana card for Virgo, and Justice, which is the major arcana card for Libra. So I almost got a vibe of this is probably a message that could go across to the collective as a whole. But I mean, for you guys, Virgo is your third house of communication. Justice being Libra energy, that's your fourth house of home. So immediately seeing these two cards, I'm thinking about what a lot of us are doing right now, right? Just really analyzing the situation, staying at home, waiting for balance to be restored, right? Like, okay, what's the next move, right? So some of you could have been isolating too, especially, if the energy, I mean, you guys being as intuitive as you are and empathic as you are, you might have just been picking up on a lot of this heavy, intense energy too. And maybe that made you guys withdraw a little bit. Like, okay, I need to regain my own balance, right? Before I could get back out there. That could be how it's playing out for some of you. And then for others of you, this could be playing out in a very real world sense too, as far as practical things. As far as one way I could see this playing out, for example, is let's say you're trying to, I don't know, let's say purchase a house, right? So maybe you're still in negotiations with the seller, trying to see if you could get a good deal, or if you're trying to buy the house, for example. Or rather, if you're trying to sell the house, maybe you're in negotiations with someone trying to get a fair deal worked out there. That's just one practical way it could work out. And for others of you, this could also represent maybe some communication around getting a relationship rather back on track, given that Libra is the natural ruler of the seventh house. So that's another way these energies could be playing out too. So obviously, given that's a general reading, it could be just one of those things, or maybe even a combination of a few of those things for some of you. That's what I'm seeing there. But overall, I do see, an interest in getting it right over all else. And because of that, really taking your time and going over the details and trying to make sure that the timing is right when you make your move. In the challenger obstacle position, we have the Three of Pentacles and the Eight of Wands. So for some of you, this could also be around a workplace situation too, where maybe you're waiting on funding for something at your job, for example. And now, there's so much upheaval when it comes to finances around the world at this point with all the things going on, that maybe that could be the issue too, where, there could just be holdups with money in general. So maybe it's not even a matter of, maybe you've already negotiated a deal, for example, if you're trying to sell a house, but maybe now with the loans, maybe there's some difficulty there, right? Or maybe now you're seeing rates are changing, so you're like, oh, well, maybe I could go back and get an even better deal now, right? So, there's many ways that this could play out. But the Three of Pentacles energy in general is basically, to me, building something stable and long-lasting. It's a combination of Saturn and Venus energy, where Saturn is the major player there as far as building that something that's stable and long-standing, but then the Venusian element lends to it a little energy of where it's something you could actually enjoy and be happy with. So, and then the Eight of Wands showing up there would represent communication around that. But we got to keep in mind those two cards together sound great, but they're also in the challenger obstacle position. So it could have just been as simple as with the retrograde energy that we had recently. Maybe there were some holdups around negotiations. Could have been possibly for eighth house matters too for some of you. So let's say it was a loan that you were trying to get to buy a home, right? Again, like I said, maybe now there's so much upheaval financially that maybe they might have withdrawn that loan, or you might be now looking to see, could I get an even better deal? Relationships, you guys finally have Saturn moving out of your sign. At the time I'm recording this on the 18th, it's not officially out of your opposite sign, but it will be moving out of your opposite sign on around the 20th, 21st, I believe. So you might even feel some pressure alleviate there as far as partnerships of all kind, romantic and otherwise, just might have felt like they had a lot of heaviness behind them, and maybe you're starting to feel that energy lift. In the foundation position, we have the hangman. So to me, this represents that you guys are, again, really trying to think things through, be very thorough. You're not trying to make any rash decisions right now. You're really trying to look at things from every angle possible and really try to do what's best for you in the situation. And I don't mean that in a selfish way at all, but just really trying to be smart about it. This is Pisces energy too. So we still technically, again, at the time I'm recording this, we're technically still in Pisces season, and then we're going to see Mercury moving through Pisces too until about, I think maybe is it around the second week of April, it'll finally move into Aries. So there's still definitely some time for you to reevaluate some decisions you might have been thinking over while the retrograde was happening. That could be what's at play here too. And another way this could be playing out for those of you where this is around the relationship situation, but maybe you've been hesitant to communicate to someone how you're feeling. I have to say, this being here, that energy could stick around for you for a while because you're going to have Venus move into your 12th house of Gemini this month of April, and it's going to be there for about 4 months. So, having Venus in the 12th, usually that could lead to people being a bit reserved around their feelings around romance, not, tending to live those fantasies out in their head as opposed to actually going out and taking action on them. Past energy, we have the Eight of Swords. So for you guys, I would say that, again, this is more Gemini energy for one, which again is 12th house. So this could just be saying, again, you might have had a lot of thoughts going through your mind, but not sure which ones you could trust, right? So maybe you weren't even sure you could trust yourself as far as your intuition goes, and maybe because of that you didn't feel comfortable making a move one way or the other. And that could be why we see that hangman energy. That could be why we see the hermit energy as well. Really trying to look over the details, and again, making sure that whatever move you do make is truly in the best interest of all, right? That's a very Cancerian energy too, where you guys do try to look out for everyone, not just yourselves. So that could be what's at play there. But, again, maybe just finding yourself having a little difficulty finding out exactly what that move would be, right? What is best for everyone involved. So that could be what the energy is there. And I do have to say, maybe this is even something that took place for you guys around the time of the Virgo full moon that we had recently. And if that's the case, keep an eye out for the full moon that we'll have in Libra in April. Maybe that'll actually restore the balance in that regard or give you some clarity on how to do so. All right, in the present position, we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse, the Strength card, the Ace of Pentacles. So these three cards coming up together, Page of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles, to me are two sides of the same coin, no pun intended. Let me just put this in the upright while we talk about it. But you play certain card games and the ace could represent a 1 or 11. That's pretty much how I view these two cards. It's like the 1 and the 11 right here. So the ace energy to me usually represents having the idea around an offer, right? So the reason I say that is we see that hand coming out of the cloud, right? So to me it represents something that's an idea. It's not actually playing out in a tangible sense yet, but it's something that's on your mind. Whereas the page energy we could see is more like an actual offer being made, right? We see it in their possession. But to me, seeing these cards come up together, given that this was in reverse, the Strength card, which represents restraint for me in this situation, because if we look at the woman, it looks like she's trying to hold the lion's mouth closed. And for you guys, Leo is your second house of finances. So if we look at that and the Ace of Pentacles, this could be you trying to reconsider a deal. So again, this might have been something that you were really close to closing on a deal or really close to making an offer. So, I do feel it's financially related for some of you, but it could, again, be relationships too. And for whatever reason, it looks like you're withdrawing that, holding back, and trying to reconsider. So again, maybe you still have a desire to make a deal, but maybe now you're reconsidering what the parameters of the deal would be. So like I said, that's an example that comes to mind, like I was saying with the house or any type of loan you might have been trying to get, where maybe initially you were close to agreeing to taking a loan at one rate, but now with all this financial upheaval, again, like I said, maybe you might be thinking there's a better rate to get. or because of this financial upheaval, you might be reluctant to spend your money, right? Which is also a totally reasonable concern to have too. So maybe that's where the offer being pulled back is coming from. Or whoever you're dealing with, right? They too might have concerns like, okay, well, I really was ready to make this investment, but now I'm not sure, right? So there could be some wavering there. All right. In the near future position, we have the Six of Swords in reverse. So for you guys, this actually is eighth house energy. So again, this could definitely be around some kind of financial compromise that you had going on with someone else. So again, whether it be a loan, maybe for some of you, this was even around a relationship that might have already, been separated, and maybe you guys are trying to figure out dividing assets in that regard, and maybe there's been some reconsideration around that. That's even a possibility. But what I do see with the Six of Swords coming up in reverse, it's like you're on the fence. You're kind of moving on, but not really, right? So that's what I'm seeing here. It's like maybe that's the overall goal might still be to move on, but you're still not quite sure if you're ready to make that move. And I do have to say, we also have the Nine of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So, that definitely could represent you guys that just had a lot of anxiety around this decision that you have to make. But again, like I said, I do like that you seem to be very measured throughout. I don't see any rash decisions being made on your part. And quite frankly, given the energies that we just got out of, and, some of that will start to dissipate. But again, on a global level, we're seeing so much uncertainty, right? So, maybe it is best to really think things through so you can feel confident in the decision when you do finally make it. In the position of your energy toward the situation, we have the Five of Cups, the Page of Cups, the King of Pentacles, and Temperance. So with these cards showing up, it's an interesting mix of cards for one, but another thing that I will say is just seeing them play out this way, I feel like this would be more related to an actual one-on-one relationship, these energies that I'm seeing here. So maybe all that other stuff with the finances is still going on, but maybe because of that, your focus is shifting elsewhere, because you're like, okay, well, this is too much. I can't deal with it anymore. Let me shift my focus to another area, right? But with the Five of Cups here, this could definitely represent some disappointment that you've experienced. And, maybe with some of these things going on in the world, they're even making you reconsider. For example, not to use you as an example in a negative way, but let's say you were holding a grudge towards someone in some way, right? And maybe now you're like, okay, well, is it really worth to continue this, right? When all these things are going on where no one that's promised tomorrow, you know what I mean? So it could be one of those things where you're reconsidering, okay, is it worth continuing to wallow over this, or should I move forward and try to fix the situation, right? So that could be what's on your mind there. If that's the case, it could be a Taurus that you're dealing with. Technically any earth sign, but I'm picking up Taurus here because obviously this is the court card that does represent Taurus. You could see the bull energy on the card, and then in the environment we see the Empress, which is another card that tends to point to some Taurus energy as well. So especially if that's who you're dealing with, that could be the case there. And then for some of you, I do have to say this can be around finances too, though, because we see the Five of Cups, the Page of Cups, which again, we talked about page energy earlier, where I was saying I feel like that's actually making an offer. And then the King of Pentacles, in that regard, it can be related to finances because Temperance is the sixth house for you guys. Well, this is Sagittarius energy. So for you guys, Sagittarius is your sixth house, which could relate to work. So this could just be saying restoring some harmony in a work connection. That's one way it could play out. But yeah, for more of you, I really do feel that this is going to be more around romance. And this could be just pointing to the fact that we have the ruler of Sagittarius in your opposite sign. So maybe again, with Saturn moving on, like I said, maybe it's actually alleviating some of that pressure you might have felt in your relationship to where now you are ready to repair things in that regard. So that could be what's at play there. In the environment position, we have the Empress. So this is usually a very receptive energy. We see the obvious Venus symbol there, and like I said, you guys are going to have Venus in your 12th house for a long time. So, on the one hand, this could just be pointing to the energy at play in the environment, which is to say, like I said, maybe that's why you don't feel comfortable coming forward to let someone know if you have feelings for them or if you want to repair a connection with them, right? Because Venus in the 12th, you tend to live that more in your head than actually going out and doing something about it. Another way this could be playing out too, though, could just be saying again, like I said, this could be someone else you're dealing with. Definitely a possibility for Taurus, for some of you, or possibly even an Aquarius. But with this showing up here too, another thing to keep in mind is this could be pointing to the energy they're going to be bringing, which is to say they're in a very receptive mode. So unfortunately, if you're waiting on them to make that first move, it doesn't look like it's too likely this month. I do have to at least let you guys know. That's what I'm seeing there. But on the bright side, if you are a little bit more willing to actually come forward to them, this does show that they're open and receptive, and given that it's in the upright, they should receive you well if you were to come toward them. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Seven of Wands. So to have this shown up here, this makes me think of what I was saying there before with the finances, where you're really just trying to get a good deal, right? So that's what I'm seeing here, because again, this is Leo energy, which is your second house. And this usually represents, maybe there could be some competition around. So maybe if there's multiple people trying to buy the same thing you are, right? Or multiple people are applying for a loan or whatever the case may be. This could be you, getting the upper hand in that regard, at least in most cases, because if we look there, we see the Six Wands below, right? And it looks like they're trying to attack him. He actually doesn't look too comfortable, but at the same time, he has that higher ground, right? Which could give him the advantage over the other people. So that could be what's going on there. And then in the outcome position, we have the Queen of Cups. So there's definitely some good with this. And the good part would be the fact that this is actually the court card that represents your sign, Cancer. So to see this coming up in the upright, to me, for one, can definitely say that you're going to be true to yourself at the end of the day. So no matter what is going on here, you're going to stay true to yourself. You're not going to compromise yourself in a negative way. The only negative I could see with this, though, is if we look at the fact that in the whole entire cup suit, this is the only cup that's closed off. So again, if this is regarding feelings, I do feel that for most of you, if this is around romance, there is a desire to either reconnect with someone from your past or there's someone new that you are interested in. But seeing this card come up here, I feel like for a lot of you, you're not going to communicate that desire. So could just be a situation where you combine that with the environment of the energy of the environment, rather. There might be a bit of a hold off as far as you might not see much movement around your love life this month. May not be the case though. I will be doing the love readings for April, probably over this weekend actually. So those will be up soon. So maybe you'll get some more insight on the situation there if this is more of a love thing for you guys. But overall, I mean, like I said, especially given that it's in the upright and it's your card, pretty good outcome to have regardless. All right, so the first oracle card we have is Peace. There's the artwork, and the number is 23. So we'll see what this has to say in the book. Definitely a pretty good sign, at least on the surface, all right? It says freedom from attachment, radical acceptance. The oracle's message. It doesn't get any better than this. A quiet mind, a heart fulfilled, freedom from want, and the soul's satisfaction. The way to peace is through radical acceptance. Everything in your world is exactly as it should be. Harmony is beautiful. Enjoy it. So definitely a pretty good message there. The relationship message says, when two people are in true alignment with one another, they have an innate harmony between them. They are as two perfectly tuned instruments playing together. Sometimes it's impossible to tell who is who. Peace is yours, and it is to be savored. Well, I do have to say with the Empress energy, I did mention that that seemed like a very open, receptive energy, right? So again, if there was some kind of a falling out you might have had in the past and you are thinking about moving forward toward them, um, I don't see that they're holding any kind of grudge or anything like that. So it should go smoothly in that regard. And maybe that's what this is about too, because like I said, we do see the Five of Cups move into the Page of Cups energy, which is actually making an offer, right? And like I said, for a lot of you, it could be an Earth sign, definitely possibly a Taurus. And we do see that Temperance energy, which is about balance as well, just like the Justice card. So it's definitely some good signs for peace to be restored in a situation. The prosperity message says this is one of those times when you're capable of clear vision about your work and how you create your prosperity. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You're called by a presence to step into your power. Just being is enough, for you are in peaceful harmony with spirit and it shows in your work. So, pretty good message there too around, so for example, maybe if there's even just something you've been working on, right? Because the Three of Pentacles obviously can represent work, and maybe you've been putting a lot of work into it, but maybe you haven't been confident enough to put it out there just yet. Maybe that's pointing to saying that this would be a good time to do it. All right, the next card we have is Chameleon Spirit. It says act as if. There's the artwork, and the number is 14, which interestingly enough, the Temperance card is also number 14, so there could definitely be some significance there. So we'll see what that has to say. Okay, it says Chameleon Spirit shares our gift with you today to prepare you for changes that will greatly benefit you. Outer conditions are changing, and you're required to come into harmony with them so you can co-create your greatest dream. Feeling sensitive? Good, because that will come in handy, enabling you to determine how best to adapt to your environment and the people in it, while at the same time maintaining your integrity and inner equilibrium. Even if you feel like you're in uncharted territory, Chameleon Spirit has complete faith in your ability to fit in and learn the lay of the land, adapting as necessary. This is a fortunate time to act as if and do as others do until the new ways feel familiar and completely natural. Life is offering you a great lesson now. Adapting isn't about losing yourself, it's about learning how to dance with others. So, definitely an interesting message there. What stuck out to me the most was that last part where it says adapting isn't about losing yourself. That just really comes across as interesting to me because I was saying here, the main vibe I was getting was that seeing this come up in the outcome position shows that at the end of the day, you're going to be true to yourself. So that definitely seems to align with what we see there. And again, maybe this is all just about you getting your own balance restored in some way, shape, or form too, you know? So maybe you guys were recovering through from a bit of a rough time, maybe really went inward and tried to restore the balance. Maybe this is saying that you actually get there this month, which is obviously pretty cool if that's the case. So hopefully that resonated with you. All right, last thing we have is a mudra card, and the mudra for your sign is the Kurma mudra. There it is there. And the keyword for it is patience. So in that regard too, right, if you're not, again, like I said, it feels like you're definitely not making rash decisions and you're really thinking things through. So if you need some help to stay patient too, this could possibly be a good thing for you. But let me see if we can get it to focus. Okay. So yeah, under benefits, it says activates the body's self-healing power, balances the immune system, reducing the negative effects of hypo or hyperimmunity, harmonizes the relationship between the heart, fire, and the kidneys, water. So if that sounds like something you think would be beneficial for you, I will put the name of the mudra in the description of the video as always. We'll wrap up there, guys, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.